Feudal custom of the time allowed a dispensation by the crown for a conqueror to extract tribute and labour from its infidel inhabitants. This system of collective servitude was called Encomienda, after the Spanish verb encomendar, which means to entrust. Any non-Christians who occupied conquered land were considered direct vassals of the crown and subject to special taxation, usually in the form of organised labour, goods or services, paid directly to the holder of the dispensation, who was called an encomendero. In return, the profiteering encomendero would be legally required to give the bound heathens the benefits of Christian conversion, the Spanish language, maintenance of infrastructure, and, ironically, law and order, in what amounts to a medieval mafia protection racket. This system of tribute from the conquered was largely put in place during the Reconquista of Spain from the Moors, but it should be said there was a parallel system implemented by Muslim conquerors on Christian subjects as well. Communities within the Encomienda were given a quota for the number of labourers they had to provide each day in the service of their encomendero, and it was up to their own leaders to choose who comprised the allocation. Failure to meet quotas was often punished with harsh reprisals, but the king had the power to intervene in the case of abuses, and occasionally did so. At the time, the rights conferred to an encomendero were theirs in perpetuity, and encomenderos had the right to break up communities and move what were essentially slaves round and about whenever it suited them. Things get more complicated when it comes to indigenous peoples, and we'll get into that more in detail later. But suffice to say, the Crown viewed the inhabitants of the New World as incapable of either self-governance, equality, or defence of what was now new Crown property. It should also be noted that grants of land as working estates, which were termed haciendas, were made entirely separately to the grant of an encomienda. But it often happened that encomenderos became so wealthy that they acquired huge tracts of land on their own upon which they directed their bonded labour force. So Christopher Columbus, as governor of the newly claimed territories, implemented a quasi-encomienda system, with himself being the supreme encomendero, or trustee/beneficiary, with the help of his two brothers, extracting tribute in gold and labour from local chieftains, and subjecting them, when they failed to meet their quota, to a level of sadism and brutality that disturbed even his own piratical conquistadors, who were no less immune from being executed or having their own noses and limbs cut off by their boss than the natives.